Welcome back to live coverage of the 2015 World's Championship match for X-Wing. We've got Paul Heaver versus
Nathan Eide. We've got action for you here. Both players fielding tricked out Poe Dameron. Some slight differences, but they're very minor. Paul is running Poe with R2-D2, Veteran Instincts, and Auto Thrusters at 38 points, and Nathan is running Poe with Veteran Instincts, Auto Thrusters, and R5-P9. Pretty much the same loadout, more or less, and I imagine Nathan has R2-D2 reserved for his favorite pilot, Corran Horn. So we got double regen versus single regen. Paul's got some great stress control. This should be an incredible match to watch.
Now these two players, they have been playing each other for some time now. At least 3 major tournaments. Nathan has fought against Paul Heaver and lost, mostly due to large ship MOV pre-change rules, not letting him take the win for loading damage on big ships that just don't die. But this time the field is quite a bit different, quite a bit more equal in terms of ships brought to the table. Paul only has a 1-ship advantage. He's flying 2 Gold Squadron pilots, both with twin laser turrets. One has a BTL A4 Y-Wing title, which will lock down one of his turrets facing frontwise. That Gold Squadron pilot is also flying with an R3A2 stress bot. The whole point of that Y-Wing is to deal stress every time it shoots and to shoot up to 3 times a turn out of its front arc.
If Paul can leverage that Y-Wing and drop enough stress onto either Corran Horn or the opposing Poe Dameron, he can really even the odds, because Paul's at a bit of a disadvantage in terms of overall survivability, because Nathan has 2 regenerating ships and is just a master at moving those ships in and out of combat in this deadly dance that never exposes one ship to too much fire and lets him come back from the brink time and time again. So I think that Paul's answer to got to be that stress control element in his list. I think that's the thing that's going to let him deal with being sort of out-aced on the other side of the board. If he can dump enough stress onto one of Nathan's ships, particularly if it's Corran Horn, and keep him out of the fight as long as possible, those twin laser turret Y-Wings can go to work cleaning up the other one. I think that's going to have to be Paul's play here, because he just can't afford to let Nathan weave in and out of combat and take him down piecemeal. Remember, this is an untimed match, so particularly in an untimed match, regeneration becomes so potent, because until every single one of Nathan's ships are dead, they can come back from the brink time and time again.
We have an awesome opportunity to see Nathan execute just a third variation to some amazing strategy he's levied with that A-Wing, just dodging in and out, stealing focus and evade and target lock opportunities away from the ships he's flying against by getting in and making effective blocks, letting his heavy hitters, Corran Horn and Poe Dameron in the T-70 X-Wing, levy some major damage. The real question is can he stay outside of one Y-Wing's just amazing twin laser turret arc long enough to sneak inside, and can he stay clear of the just amazing regeneration ability of Paul Heaver's Poe with R2-D2, Vet Instincts, Auto Thrusters. Paul Heaver's R2-D2 Poe is going to have Veteran Instincts attack upgrade nearly every shooting around, which will be a major obstacle for Nathan to overcome.
Well, what's really interesting about this match is it's a mirror match for the 2 Poes. Whoever has initiative is going to fire first with his Poe, but of course, due to the simultaneous fire rule, Even if the other Poe is destroyed, he'll still get his shot back. So I don't know if initiative is going to play as big a role in this game unless it gets into the end game with Poe versus Poe. And then I think the Poe who actually does not have initiative, the Poe who's moving second, is going to have the advantage. So I think it's to Nathan's benefit to eliminate the enemy Poe as quickly as possible. Although if I were Nathan, my first target might be that stress-dealing Y-Wing. That's going to prove such an obstacle for his ace-heavy list that if he can take that off the table quickly, he's going to be able to escape its clutches.
Nathan, coming into this match, has 9 wins, 1 loss, 1 bye.
One modified, actually, I think.
Is that 1 modified win?
I believe so.
And Paul is sitting at a stunning record of 11 wins, 0 losses. He has won every game he's played in this tournament today.
And of course, Paul Heaver, well-known X-Wing monster. This is his 3rd appearance at the World Final top table.
He's
won the previous 2 years. He is looking at a 3-peat, triple crown here if he can pull it off, which, I think just is proof positive that skill plays a huge factor in this game. Because if you can come through 296 opponents and make it to the top table for the 3rd year in a row, dice are important, but it's good flying that got him here. It's not luck. If you can be that consistent, if you can consistently land in the top 16, like both of these players have, Nathan is a frequent flyer up in the top 16, top 8, top 4 every single year. So clearly 2 expert pilots doing battle here for the crown. And we have a nice loose approach from Paul, staying in formation. He's going to try to keep his focus locked in on one of Nathan's ships. I believe he's going to try to keep Corrin out of the game.
We've got a question about debris, space rocks in particular. You'll notice a lot of the rocks look similar. Part of the rules about X-Wing setup is that each player brings 3 obstacles to the table whenever they are playing competitively. They can choose whatever those obstacles are out of the collections that they've amassed from their collections at home. Out of the core sets and out of any expansion sets that we have made legal in play. So it is entirely possible for both players to bring the exact same 2 sets of asteroids, debris fields, what have you. And it just so happens these guys like big spuds.
Well, they have similar lists. They have maneuverable, small-based ships. By putting the big asteroids into play, if they're up against a list like dual aggressors, if they're up against large ships, the large ships have much more trouble clearing those asteroids, whereas Paul and Nathan, both being such great pilots, are not going to have any trouble flitting between those rocks. So we have 2 very similar lists in certain respects. 2 rebel lists, 2 regenerating Poes. Paul has more ships and a control element, whereas Nathan has a 2nd power ace in Corrin. We got some opening fire here, but it looks like no real damage going through.
Poe with initiative 10 just tried to take a shot on Corrin Horn. 2 hits, but were expertly evaded by Corrin in the corner. No dice.
The placement of that stress hog, that R3A2 BTL A4 title Gold Y-Wing, is going to be hugely important in this match. He's going to need to start dropping stress on Nathan's elites, and it looks like he's well positioned to do so. But we're really going to see, I think, the next round of combat's going to be a telling one. If Paul can start getting his control elements into place, it's going to go well for him. If Nathan can slip through the net like he did in every previous game, I think Nathan's got the overall survivability and offense to beat Paul piecemeal. But he's going to have to take apart Paul's list one by one, avoiding stress, avoiding getting focused down by the superior numbers that Paul has brought to the table. And he's going to have to use that A-Wing to block things up like he has in games past. This is going to be a nail-biting game. I don't know which way it's going to go. I think it could go either way very easily. 2 players clearly at the absolute top of their game, solid lists. They match up against each other in a really interesting way. I don't think either list has any clear-cut advantages at this stage.
And it may be some time before we can make a legitimate call. So many of the games that we've seen have started with Alex or myself saying, "Oh, we think this list will do better. Oh, we think that list will do better." Sometimes we're proven wrong. Sometimes we just have no clue. And this is a game, I think, where I want to reserve making any kind of judgments or any kind of predictions.
Oh, absolutely. I think we'll know after a few rounds have passed which way the game is tilting, but I fully expect this one to come right down to the wire. Absolutely. Interesting K-turn from this A-wing. Some really high-level play here.
An interesting question coming out from our viewers online. Is this the first year without a large ship in the finals?
No, actually, interestingly enough, of the 4 World Finals that we've held, of course the first year hardly counts because large ships didn't exist then, but of the 3 years in which large ships were a factor, we only saw a large ship in last year's match. The year before that was TIE Swarm versus B-Wings and Bigs, and so the big increase in large ships, and particularly large turret ships, was really a last year phenomenon. Prior to that, we had a lot of small ships, and it looks like small ships have taken the day again this year. So I think the large ships have had their day in the sun. They might be facing some stiff competition from some of the newer upgrade cards and strategies. Although we did see the IG 2000 list come very, very close to making it to the top table. So clearly, large ships still a perfectly viable strategy.
Nathan Eide is taking a defensive turn this round, getting Corrin out of the way. What looks like a very daunting screen of Y-Wings, Headhunter, and possibly Poe Dameron trying to single him out.
And this is that drunken master bait and switch I was talking about. Nathan is an expert at just flying one in, tempting some shots, moving it out to throw off Paul's position, coming in from the other angle with his other ace, and as long as he can keep this circular dance of death just wheeling around, he's got regeneration on both ships, which is what makes this list so incredibly devastating, because even if Paul is able to chip some health off of Corrin here, he's going to be able to, at least Nathan hopes he's going to be able to slip this trap and end up in a favorable position in the long run. So we're going to see some dice exchanged here.
So Nathan is going to shoot with Poe Dameron.
Yep, Nathan has the initiative, so his Poe fires first. Solid. Interesting lack of focus on Poe this round. He went for the target lock for long term, but I bet he wishes he focused now. But it's a blank out roll for Paul, so not great. The Y-Wing takes a couple of shields, and this is what Nathan's list does. It just chips away. It has these ships that are so hard to take down, spitting out 1, 2, sometimes 3 damage, and then lining up that Corrin Horn double tap at an opportune time to bring the sledgehammer home. Paul's going to have to hope he can corral these aces and bring his whole list to bear. That's a pretty good shot from Paul's Poe. Both Poes doing well. Not a great roll. Quite a bad roll for Corrin.
Corrin Horn's going to lose 3 shields.
Really, really rough. Nathan needed to roll a lot better. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Corrin. And here comes the really nasty roll. Is he going to be able to get that double stress off? I mean, we could be looking at a first-round Corrin kill if he gets really unlucky here. That would be absolutely devastating. But 3 dice will save him. That's going to help a lot. And the TLT coming in again. And again.
Woo! Corrin
Horn. I think Corrin Horn has repaid Nathan's loyalty to him with some incredible dice rolling there, because that was not an insubstantial chance of Corrin actually just biting the dust here in the first exchange. Paul is debating whether he wants to use that target lock. He's not going to do it. Poe's going to escape. I'm sorry, Corrin's going to escape. So Paul got a little unlucky there with the subsequent firing, but that first hit to take 3 shields off of Corrin, can't really ask for better than that. And now he's going to stress this A-Wing into oblivion, which is an interesting choice. I would have maybe expected him to save that for for Poe, but it looks like Poe is out of arc because Nathan knows very well he's going to have to stay away from that stress wing.
We haven't seen A-Wings really suffer from stress at all, and especially not Nathan's A-Wings these previous games he's played. That A-Wing hasn't been taking many actions anyway, unless it was a boost or something to get in someone's way.
You know, it does limit his options. It'll stop some K-turns, and I think the Y-Wing doesn't particularly care if it gets stress itself. I still think it was a good play, but obviously Paul would have been much happier to put some stress on Poe if he had the option. But it looked like Poe stayed just out of arc, and that's skillful play on Nathan's part, really, keeping those aces away from the biggest danger. A lot of good evades. A lot of good evades this round, with the exception of that big blank roll from the first Corrin. But here's the really annoying thing. Corrin's going to flee. He's going to regen. He's going to do that thing that he does so very well. We've seen Corrin down to 2 hit points in so many previous games with Nathan, and he just does that. He comes in, he takes some damage, he flits out of the fight, he builds back up, he comes back in, he takes the pressure off of Poe, and it's this, right hook, left hook, thing that he's got going on. It's a beautiful play style, and it really works well. But of course, I don't think there's a tougher challenge than, Paul Heaver with a well-flown Rebel list. So this is going to be a very, very close game. I'm really excited. You can tell how much X-Wing these players play. Just look at those dials. Look at Paul Heaver's Y-Wing dial.
They are well worn. Those are some love dials right there. That must be one of his favorite ships.
And obviously Nathan's Corrin horn dial, well thumbed as well. Seriously though, Paul's dial looks like it's probably from Wave 1, because Paul's been playing for a long time. And we have a big scrum in the middle here. Going to be a very, very quick, exciting game here, at least in the initial pass. Could go on for quite a while if those regen aces, build their shields back up. But neither of these players is shy about mixing it up right off the bat.
Oh, look at this beautiful block.
A-Wing MVP.
That Y-Wing is going to ram right into
on the
A-Wing,
rock.
back up on the rock. No shots out of that stress spot.
No
Y-Wing.
shots on the rock. A-Wing MVP.
Woo!
Incredible play. But he's going to chase Corrin. He's going to chase Corrin with the rest of the list, and Nathan's going to have to. His dice don't fail him.
He can't let up on Corrin.
No, he cannot.
Corrin has to be the target. He's already committed.
Can't tell if he hit that rock or not. Looks like he did, so he's going to take possible damage here.
Shield comes
Lost
off.
a shield. So Paul flying very, very aggressively, not bothering to skirt those asteroids, and it is costing him. In fact, it's interesting. The asteroids won him last Worlds in a sense because he had a very brave move through the asteroid field that cleared 2 sets of rocks by just a millimeter on either side. I remember that very clearly from last year. And this year, Nathan's initial opening joust has pulled Paul through these rocks. He's staying as far away from Corrin as he possibly can, regenerating shields, evade actioning up, coming in with Poe. Really, I think Nathan's getting the better of this early exchange. I think this is absolutely masterful play by Nathan here. Just beautiful attack vector.
I'm hoping Poe still has an arc on that Y-Wing there. It's a little difficult to tell.
It's hard to tell. I don't know. I don't know what is going to happen if he doesn't have a shot. You'd think that Poe would want. It looks like Poe does have a shot on that Y-Wing, hence the target lock rather than a boost into position.
That's going to put a real dent in that Y-Wing's defenses, and that may be the first ship that goes down.
Ooh, but is it in?
It's so close. It doesn't look in.
It's hard to tell from this angle, but that might not be a shot. That would be a big blow to Nathan's otherwise excellent turn here.
So Poe Dameron shooting at Corrin Horn.
Oh, Corrin needs a good roll here. Not what Corrin needed.
Corrin is taking a lot of damage here.
Oh, he's hanging on by a thread. Thank goodness for the evade action. Or this game might be over before it began.
That saved Corrin singly.
Yes.
That opens up a question that I have to ask. In a defensive situation, what is better, the solid evade or the focus?
Well, I would say in a situation where Poe has 2 hit points left, or 3 hit points left, the evade is your better.
Oh no! Oh, Corrin just takes a hit. He's gone. Eliminated immediately by
that is so unlucky.
A chance shot from that Z95.
Nathan's dice have been hot all tournament, but man, I don't know how he comes back from that. That's half his list gone. He took a risky strategy and it really, really, really cost him. So unfortunate. It's so sad to see.
Nathan has a tough road to travel if he wants to win this game now. He just lost one of his big guns.
You know, it's always the little guys slipping that last damage through when you least expect. He had a 4 dice, he had a 4 dice shot at, he's going to switch dice. He's not happy with that.
There's a little bit of superstition for you.
Absolutely. Well, I don't blame him.
Those dice are spent.
I do not blame him.
That's rolling a little bit better.
I don't know how Nathan climbs out of this hole, though. That's such a tough break. That's a really heartbreaking thing to see.
The A-Wing takes a damage. It is 1 point away from taking a permanent dive. This is an unfortunate swing. It's happening so quickly in the beginning of this round. It will.
I think Paul Heaver's Z95 killed Whisper last year, if I remember right. That Z95 needs a promotion.
Yep. He needs a title.
Man. Did not see that one coming. Pretty disappointing end to Corrin Horn there.
And the A-Wing is not long for this world if it can't get away from those twin laser turrets.
No, I don't see Poe having much of a chance of soloing the thing out without that A-Wing and without Corrin. I think Paul may have just sealed the deal.
It's very hard for me to say that, but I think Paul's going to seal it. I think he's going to take Worlds number 3. All he has to do is play defensively now, conservatively, keep his Poe out of the fight, use his Y-Wings and his Z95 as a defensive screen, block as many attack vectors as possible, and that is not difficult to do. You outnumber your opponent's list 2-to-1 in ships, and over almost more than 50% in terms of damage output.
We're getting some calls from the chat that Paul Heaver is OP and needs a nerf. But it's not over yet. Fluky stuff can happen on both sides of the board. And with initiative on Poe Dameron, Nathan has the advantage if he can make it into the end game. It's a long shot, but it ain't over till it's over.
Paul is keeping the pressure on with his BTLA4 Y-Wing, making sure Poe on Nathan's side doesn't forget what he's up against. Z95 circling around. Never discount the little guy in terms of those ships.
Oh, you know what? I just remembered it's actually Nathan who has the initiative, so even if he gets into the end game, he's going to have a challenge against Paul Heaver's Poe, who moves after him. It's all pretty much stacked heavily against Nathan at this point, which is tough to see.
Poe's going to try to run with...
Is he going to hit that rock?
4 straight. It looks like he narrowly misses the rock.
Yep. That's a K-turn.
Oh, that's risky.
Well, he's got to take some risks now or he's got no chance. Big plays.
He is able to skirt out of the way of that forward-firing twin laser Y-wing.
But the other Y-wing's going to have TLT shots on him. Still, he needs to make something happen. He really needs to make something happen.
Paul Heaver's Poe Dameron, Talon roll. Gearing up for an attack run if his help can't finish. Nathan's firing with Poe Dameron. 3 hits, not bad. 1 of Eide. That Y-wing's gonna lose a shield, take a hit. Not enough to kill him. Y-wings have 5 hull. They're hard to chew through.
That A-wing's going to take some fire. Of course, without its defensive abilities, it's a lot easier to kill. 2 hits coming in. And Nathan's defense dice super cold this game.
That A-wing is going to take
Just
a dive.
Abandoned
it is
him this
gone.
game.
Paul Heaver is very quickly turning the tides in his favor. Twin laser turret coming from the Gold Squadron Y-wing on Poe. Like, that won't connect. 1 more twin laser turret shot. Two hits. That'll connect.
Yep.
1 more damage on Poe for Nathan. I gotta say, this is hard to watch.
It is. You know, it's funny. We've seen Nathan. I think it's been pretty much Nathan Eide TV here all weekend. And we've watched that gamble that he pulls where he puts Corrin in danger only to flit away and regen. We've watched it pay off in game after game after game. And this game, his luck ran out.
That's the problem when you gamble with anything. You got to be ready to lose it.
Yep. And it worked, though. I mean, it worked for him in the match when he was up against the 5-ship Rebel list. He was able to take a huge amount of firepower, crawl back out from under the hull with 2 hull left, regen everything, and table his opponent, losing almost nothing. And we watched it happen against pretty much every match I've seen. Nathan, gets Corrin into danger and escapes. But, if you put your faith in the green dice all day, odds are sooner or later they're going to fall. I didn't expect them to fail that spectacularly, though. That was some extraordinary bad luck. Rolling 4 dice against a single unmodified bandit. I mean, sometimes that's what happens, though, and he did expose Corrin to a lot of fire. Now, had Corrin survived, I think that gambit would have paid off big. I really do. I think it would have been huge for Nathan. So it's not that you can fault Nathan for his strategy. You just have to shake your head at what the dice gods decreed.
Nope. This is part dice game. There's always a chance that you can lose by those dice.
Live by the dice, die by the dice.
This game does allow players to heavily modify their chances, sending dice results their way. There are times where there's nothing you can do to mitigate that risk.
And you got to give Paul Heaver credit for his strategy too, because it's not that the dice betrayed Nathan, and that's not the sole reason Corrin died. Corrin also died because Paul aggressively pursued him. He sent his ships through the rocks. He went, what needs to happen? Corrin needs to die. And what am I going to do? I'm going to be laser focused on that eventuality. Everyone's going maximum throttle. We're going through the asteroids. We don't care. It's happening, and it worked for him.
So we're going to see Nathan cut loose on his counterpart Poe. What was the dice result? Can't see it. We can't see dice results here. Looks like a wash. Now Paul's responding. Mediocre shot.
More shots fired.
Twin laser turrets coming at Nathan's Poe Dameron. Two of aids, lucky.
Where were those when he was rolling with Corin? I'm sure
that was
himself.
range 1 from a headhunter. Now we're back to dials.
Paul's got one nearly dead Y-Wing, but the rest of his force largely undamaged. The Z-95 have lost its shields. The damage is spread thin, and Nathan, with a single ship remaining, is going to have a really tough time climbing out of this.
I'd love to see Nathan pull a left Talon roll, try to get behind everyone who's right near him, but that's going to leave him in a very awful position without focus tokens to help him defensively. His only chance may be to run. I don't know where he's going to run to.
He's just in a bad position. I mean, he has to chew through 3 ships, or concentrate on the enemy Poe, who can regenerate shields every round. I mean, he's just in such a rough spot because he can work on that Z-95 and those Y-Wings, and he might even kill 2 or even all 3 of them, but he's going to take hits along the way, and there's going to be a full health Poe waiting at the end of that if that's his strategy. And if he goes after Poe, he gives those other ships free reign to just box him in. And if that Y-Wing gets turned around and is able to put another 2 stress shot out there, that's going to be pretty much game over for Nathan's Poe. So he's got to somehow drop that Y-Wing, survive all of the other shots coming his way, chew his way through the other 3 ships in Paul's, and then what he got waiting for him at the end? Well, he's got a full health Poe Dameron moving after he moves. It's just a nightmare scenario for Nathan right now, but to his credit, he is not giving up. He's not throwing in the towel.
Geez, Alex, that sounds pretty bleak.
Well, I mean, it's the reality on the field. I was rooting for Nathan. He's such a fantastic competitor. He had such an incredible run. I mean, really incredible run, but at a certain point in the game, you can tell how the tide is turning, and I just don't see a chance anymore for Nathan. Not to bum everyone out, but there's just not a lot left that he can do. He doesn't have the options on his side of the table anymore.
Is this it? Is this the Talon roll? It is.
Got to have one more Talon roll. Glorious, glorious Talon roll.
If you've got
Nathan's been using those Talon rolls to superb effect all weekend, with the exception of the one that got blocked. They've always treated him well. Now we'll see what Paul does. His own Poe. 1 straight. Maybe not going to get a shot on the enemy Poe, so it looks like that Talon roll is going to pay off. It's going to target lock for a future round. And Paul can take those kind of actions. He's got the luxury of doing that. The heat is off of him by and large, so he can line up target locks, prepare for the end game, whereas Nathan knows that every roll he makes is vital, and each one could be his last. He's got a bit of fire coming back at him, 1 twin laser turret shot and a Z-95, but he's got a nice... looks like a nice range 1 shot lined up on this Y-Wing, so I hope that he takes it out and buys himself some breathing room here. Absolutely. So here comes a 4 dice shot from Poe. Nathan needs a big roll.
I'd love to see him do hit, crit.
Good roll. It looks like it was just outside of range 1. Y-Wing does get a defense.
Y-Wing's going to take a hit and a crit.
Can't tell what crit that was, but the Y-Wing isn't dead.
There's not a lot of text on that critical hit. Direct hit.
It was a direct hit. Had that Y-Wing not rolled that evade, it might have been taken out. That would have been good for Nathan. Got an evade,
geez.
and auto thrust just kicks in. That helps.
Kicks in because it was a turret attack outside of primary firing arc.
More dice coming his way.
Twin laser turret.
Some sort of fancy dice manipulation. Maybe that's the secret to Paul's magic dice. But Poe's rolling well. Still in the fight.
Z95 taking range 2. Oh, Poe Dameron's going to take one hit.
That Z95 really doing work for Paul.
We're back to dials. Nathan Eide's got several problems left in this game. His biggest ones in this round is the Poe Dameron on his left side, the Z95 out front, and the two Y-Wings gumming things up. I know he wants to shoot down that Y-Wing he's just loaded so much damage on, and maybe Paul is gonna bait him by flying it out for him.
Y-Wing's going to do a turn, interestingly enough. You know what I think Nathan needs to do? He needs to block Paul's Poe so that he doesn't get shot by that Poe and keep the pressure on Paul's injured ship. Paul probably knows that's exactly what Nathan needs to do, and he's going to try to circumvent that strategy somehow. I'm not seeing a great option for Nathan here. Maybe a soft bank to the right, hoping that Paul's Poe does a turn, but if Paul's Poe banks, it's going to be really tough for Nathan to avoid this. He's going to go straight, hoping for a collision, I'm sure, Paul's Poe into his Poe, buying him another round to shoot at the rest of Paul's list. But, you know, even if that Poe collides, he's got to worry about Y-Wing shots. He's got to worry about that Z95.
Oh, goodness.
And I think this will be a bump. So that's what Nathan needs. Well played by Nathan.
That's a lot of luck.
No, I don't think. I think that's well played by Nathan. He knew exactly what he had to do, and he made a bump happen there. That's why I did the one straight instead of a turn or a bank.
You're right.
But again, this is a real underdog story. This is a David versus Goliath tale at this point. I'm hoping that Poe can. Oh, took out the Y-Wing. Nathan, well played by Nathan. Absolutely. Ain't over till it's over, folks.
Is that the stress Y-Wing that's left? Range 2-ish. We need to see dice. Can't see the dice that are rolling.
Some more damage coming through on Poe, it looks like.
A crit's gonna hit Poe.
This underdog story. This blasted Z95. Paul's lethal Z95.
We've got 3,105 people watching the live stream right now. That is a great show. Unfortunately, I think it's gonna come to the end
pretty soon here.
Very soon.
Poe is he's living on a prayer. It looks like Poe Dameron is limping here. He's got a shield, but he's got a hull damage. So he looks like he's got about 3 hits out of his original 6 left. Did bring that Y-Wing down. That'll take some of the heat off. He might be able to knock this Z95 down or the other Y-Wing. Although the other Y-Wing still 6 hit points left on it. Still a bruiser, and it looks like it's well situated to come back into the fight here. Going to be an uphill battle every step of the way for Nathan. but he's not giving in.
Nathan's in a hard place too. He's got ships nearly in his flank. If he decides to go forward, he's going to have multiple ships behind him. Z95 is pulling Corrigan 3, hoping to get an angle. Y-Wing is going to close in ever so carefully. The green 1 maneuver relieving some stress. Fully capable of taking actions. Target locking Poe. Pretty smart. Nathan's Poe is going to take a gradual 1 right maneuver.
Going to hit that Y-Wing hard, going to deny it the turret advantage. But of course, the opposing Poe is now free to come in and really put the hammer down. But it looks like he might have blocked him again. Nope, that's not what Nathan.
It looks like Paul Heaver's Poe Dameron is going to have a point-blank, range 1 shot.
Yep. Nathan's going to shoot first, but he's going to have to face a big hit in return.
He's firing range 1 on the Y-Wing.
He's going to use Poe's ability to turn that that focus into a hit. Y-Wing blanks out, so he's going to take some pain, including a crit.
Can't quite see what that crit was.
This is the big roll, though. Nathan's Poe needs to... Well, that is not going to be good for Nathan.
Is Paul going to... Yeah, he has to convert all of that.
Of course. This is the end. Don't save the... There's no reason to save Poe's focus at that point. Poe blocks 2, and he might be clinging to life here, but that's 1 step closer to the grave. Still in the fight, though.
That is 1 crit that's going to hit Poe Dameron.
Yep. And it is not. That was a major explosion. Poe survives. Everybody's on the edge of their seat out in the audience, you can tell. And the Z95 was, Paul's MVP for sure. He's got another shot. If the Z95 kills Poe too, I swear. Come on, Poe.
This is it.
Come on, Poe.
Poe evades this or not. That's
target lock.
That's gonna be hard. It's done.
No, Poe survives.
No.
Remember, that focus token on Poe is going to keep him alive.
I didn't see him keep it.
Yep. Fantastic.
Eide's single Poe Dameron has at least one more round to try to do serious damage. I feel a Talon roll coming.
Incredible. Maybe just for flair at this point. Who knows?
He's in a decent position to pull it off against that Y-Wing.
It's true.
And catch the other Poe by surprise.
Yeah, I wonder if Paul's going to anticipate the Talon roll this time, if he does do a Talon roll.
Although Paul could pull his own. He's got the space for it. Z95 is going to contact Paul Heaver's Z95 is going to rear end his own Poe Dameron. Here it is.
Talon roll.
Talon roll, baby.
Love that. Love to see that.
That's 2 in this game so far, folks. It's going to stress him out. Paul Heaver does a straight one maneuver.
Interesting. I think he's going to be able to boost into a range 1 shot against Nathan's Poe if he wants to, or he might just hang out there.
He's going to take a focus.
Just going to focus target lock. Makes sense.
He wants Alpha Strike right here.
Well, Nathan's got a chance to bring this Y-Wing down, but then he's got to take a lot more firepower coming his way.
That
not
is
what he needed.
Not the roll.
Does he have a target lock?
Is he going to bust the target lock on that Y-Wing? He doesn't have it.
No, I think that those are locks against Nathan rather than locks that Nathan possesses. And here again, once again, could be the final roll of the game.
Paul Heavers, Poe Dameron.
It's got a target
lock spent.
Oh yeah, it's all over.
Nathan cannot. Nathan couldn't win, so he threw all of his dice in.
Very stylish end to that game. Fantastic game. Nathan, hug from his dad. His dad at him, very awesome. Supports Nathan. Huge. Watch Nathan climb his way all the way to the top tier. I'm pretty sure he's going to win one of these years.
He's definitely good enough to do it. He just met Paul Heaver, previous 2-time world champion, now 3-time world champion.
Three-peat for Paul, ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Nathan has some fantastic practice against this world champion here. There's no reason why he can't come back and try for it again next year.
None at all. He's a fantastic pilot. He's got every chance in the world. And he's beaten Paul before, I should point out. Like, this is the interesting thing about this game is 2 high-level pilots meeting each other. It can really go either way in any given game, so it's always fresh and exciting to see.
That was an excellent match. It started sliding downhill a little bit for Nathan almost the second or third combat round in.
Well, he took a big risk with Corin and it didn't pay off. Paul sent every gun on the board Corin's way. He knew he had to take that thing out, and it paid off for him. So I think Paul had the right strategy, and it worked out for him. I mean, he knew he had a plan going into the match, and yeah.
In just a few minutes, we're going to be interviewing the players as they are finishing cleaning up. They've had a long couple of days.
Oh, absolutely. Grueling couple of days. So many games.
God, this is game
13?
13
yeah, I think
for both of these fine gentlemen.
Yep.
That's a lot of time to play any game.
It is. And remember, Nathan's record is like 11-2.
Yeah.
And Paul undefeated.
I think it's, yeah.
Or 12 games, I guess.
Yep.
Crazy. Just crazy.
I don't think I've played 11 to 12 games of X-Wing in 2 days worth. I've played in a couple of tournaments here or there, 4 or 5 games, and man, does my back start hurting me.
Oh, it's exhausting. It's a marathon,
well,
really.
It's a game in your head too. Like you're spending so much time deliberating about the movements you need to take. What is the other player doing? And that takes a toll on you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So levying all of that against actually being here in this environment with people all around you wanting you to do well, rooting for you, the buzz, that gets to people sometimes.
Yeah,
but it obviously didn't get to these 2 players.
No, not at all. They both kept completely cool heads and played a fantastic couple of days of X-Wing. So really spectacular stuff. And I gotta say, from a personal standpoint, this is probably my favorite World Finals ever. We had an incredible amount of list diversity. We had some great games on camera. We had all kinds of different lists on the field. Tons of diversity in the top 16. No single archetype dominated. No single faction dominated. Although, of course, there were 2 fierce Rebel players in the finals. But, Paul's game against the Imperial player, Jeremy Martin, prior to the final match, we didn't show it, but it was a nail biter. It came down to Poe Dameron versus Soontir Fel. And, that is the kind of end game that can go either way. So really fantastic weekend of X-Wing. I couldn't be happier, Chris.
No, this was a fantastic field to watch. There's just so much we can take away from this in terms of where we are in the meta discussion, how far strategies have come, and I expect a lot of conversation to be swirling about where where these ships are going to go next. Certainly, we're going to have people trying to replicate Paul Heaver's strategy with his list that he built. And there may be a few daring souls out there who try to use A-Wings as aggressively as Nathan tried.
Oh yeah, I think Nathan clearly demonstrated the power of a single prototype pilot just as a blocker, as a control mechanism. It won him at least 3 of the games that helped him win that I was watching. Didn't really come into play against Paul, although it did have that spectacular block against that Y-Wing. Had things not gone south for Corin, that block would have put him in a really good position.
Absolutely. So the one thing we're missing, we haven't seen quite yet, make it too far along in Worlds. We got close this year. Scum and Villainy.
It's true. They're still waiting for their time to shine.
We still
Although
need
I
them
will
to show
point
up.
out the UK National Championships won by dual aggressors.
That's
so
excellent.
they're not out of the game by any means. I've seen a number of national championships won by quad Y-Wings. So I got a question for me. Could Paul make a Z95 promo card? Well, Paul can make whatever card he wants, and I think he might owe that Z95 a little bit of love after this year. Of course, Paul will have the opportunity to design his 3rd card for the game. I mean, he's practically a game developer at this point for X-Wing. It'll be interesting to see what he chooses to do, but he may want to throw that game-winning Z95 a little love. It's helped him win 2 World Championships in a row here.
Maybe the next Ace pack having a Z95 Ace with some sort of ability befitting a Z95 with such heart. We'll see.
The upgrade card is Paul's design, so we'll see what he comes up with. Of course, the world is still awaiting his 2nd World Championship upgrade card. That should be out in Wave 8, so I think you all are going to be excited to see what that does. It's a very, very cool card indeed. Not going to say anything more about it, but I'm excited to debut it.
So we've got a little bit of time here before we start to make. We're going to be interviewing the players here shortly. Once they've had a chance to clean things up, glad hand a little bit. We've got a little window. If you have any questions for us on the chat, anything you'd like to send our way, any burning queries you have while we wrap up Worlds 2015, let us know. We're here for the next few minutes.
I'll say thanks.
I think this has been a really great year for X-Wing, a really great year absolutely for FFG, and we really couldn't have done it without you.
Absolutely.
The players out there, the fans of players, people who love Star Wars, you with your interest in this game and the other games our company makes, but especially X-Wing.
We had our biggest year ever, and the game just keeps growing. It's the first year we've had the main event hall here in the Game Center exclusively dedicated to X-Wing yesterday. There were no other games being played, just 296 X-Wing players in 8 rounds of Starship Slugfest.
So we just got word that we're going to be going to the main floor in just a minute right now. So stay tuned for more information from our players of the finals.
Thanks for watching.
Welcome to the aftermath of the 2015 X-Wing World Championships. We're here with Nathan Eide, our runner-up this year.
Nathan, on behalf of Fantasy Flight Games Organized Play, I, the Organized Play Manager, Zach Rayburn, would like to award you with the finalist, Matt. Congratulations. I'm going to let Matt ask you some great questions about your experience here. Thanks for coming, thanks for competing, and congratulations again.
All right, so Nathan, first off, tell me, how old are you?
I'm 14.
Okay, and how long have you been playing X-Wing?
About a year and a half.
Awesome. So how did it feel to be at the final table here? This is your biggest finish ever, correct?
Yeah, it just feels amazing. I can't believe I made it this far. It's been awesome.
I really loved the fact that you seem to have a great attitude about it. That final roll, like you had a smile on your face, you seemed excited. You're pretty happy overall with this?
Oh yeah, this has been awesome. I'm really happy how I did.
What did you think when you knew your matchup against Paul, when you saw his list? What was going through your mind in terms of things you're going to have to overcome or your strategy?
Well, I knew his Y-wing was going to be a big problem, so I knew I'd take that out right away. It was tough because he put his ship so he could go at pull or Corrin, so I had to run with both, and blanked with Corrin, so he died, and that was basically it from there.
I think that was a heartbreaker for everybody in the crowd watching Corrin roll blank after blank after blank. And you could definitely tell that Y-wing with the stress droid, R3A2, was the problem for you. Thanks for coming out. Awesome job. You're from Milwaukee, right? So we're going to see you next year at regionals, store championships, stuff like that? Awesome, man. Thanks for coming. And now the man who really needs no introduction, Paul Heaver. Congratulations, Paul.
Paul, on behalf of Fantasy Flight Games Organized Play, I'd like to award you with the multitude of prizes for the 2015 World Champion. We have the trophy, the finalist playmat. I'll put that right over here. And we also have the winner's playmat, our new incredible Death Star 2 design.
One of a kind.
Once again, congratulations on your Triple Crown achievement. And I'll have Matt ask you some amazing questions here about how you did it. Congratulations.
All right, Paul, let's talk list a little bit. Sure. What was your basic philosophy behind your list? I like it. I think it has a lot of things in its toolbox. So tell me a little bit about what you came up with to deal with the meta.
Basically, it's 4 ships that are all good ships. They don't really have any weaknesses, per se. Poe is the ace killer. He goes after the other aces. The Stress Hog, the Y-Wing with the Stress Bot and the TLTs and everything, that is also, you can't ignore it because then it just destroys you. And the other Y-Wing is just pure, consistent damage source. And then the Z95, he's just there.
Because you had 12 points left over? Sure. When you looked at your matchup against Nathan, did you feel, I felt like you had a very good answer to his Poe and his Corrin because of the stress bot. The R3A2, for those of you at home, Nathan's list used R5P9 to regenerate shields, which is reliant on having an action, and his Corrin had pushed the limit, which is also stressing. So tell me about how you kind of, knowing that, what your game plan was.
Well, Corrin is really, really bad with the double tap. He can burn down Poe in a single round. So I knew I had to get Corrin dead as soon as possible. So that's why as soon as I saw where he set up, I just did my right turns and just chased out, went right after Corrin. With the no-fly zone that the stress bot makes, you kind of know where Corrin's going to go because he's not going to go right into the range 2-3 zone of the stress bot. So you can kind of herd him along, and just once I got him pointed away from my entire list and just following him, then I knew he was going to die eventually. And then after that, once I got down to I figured worst comes to worst, it'll be Poe and something versus his Poe, and then I'd be fine.
Were you surprised when Corrin died that quick?
A little bit.
Pleasantly surprised?
Yeah. I mean, it was pleasant, but I was thinking he was going to come more along the edge, I guess, instead of turning back in around, because that meant my guys were able to chase him a lot easier. But then when he boosted in, I realized he couldn't keep going towards the edge. He'd cross his own asteroid, and he wouldn't be doing that. So I was pretty confident he was going out that way, and then yeah, he took a lot of damage quickly.
So you went, I believe, 12-0 with one modified win, right? What was the thing that scared you the most coming into this tournament?
The thing that scared me the most would be probably the Dash Corrin lists. I didn't expect to see too many of them. That was my modified win, actually, was Dash Corrin. But that was probably what scared me the most because, again, Corrin could just kill things really, really quick. And yeah, and you can't ignore Dash because he's ridiculous too. So you have to take out both of them, but they're both impossible to hit targets. They're very nimble and agile targets. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think congratulations again, 3-time winner. I think this proves that even in a dice game like X-Wing, skill is the ultimate arbiter. So congratulations, and I hope we'll see you next year, and maybe somebody can finally take you down. So,
looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.